Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Impression Series podcast. Thank you so much for being with us throughout the journey. And today's episode is a very important episode, right? And it covers a very important topic as well, as you must have observed and seen, especially after the lockdown, after the pandemic. A lot of emphasis has been laid on building a brand. Example, BK3 Studios, a brand. Bibli Babu Show, a brand. Impression Series, a brand. So branding, right? Instagram पे भी brand का चलता है. Everything, every person, every individual wants to be a brand. But what is a brand? That's the biggest question. How you build that brand is another question. And while building that brand, are you doing everything that you're supposed to do? And is it taking you on that journey of building a brand? To cover this entire spectrum of branding and how you, as an individual or as a company or as a startup or as someone who wishes to have a brand, irrespective of your domain, can start this journey. I have today with me an individual who is working on defining a purposeful journey for a brand. Why do I say that he's on his journey of defining a purposeful brand? Because the company that I'm talking about is called the On Purpose brand. And I've got with me today the co-founder of that startup, Mr. Anant Mishra. Hi, Anant. How are you doing?
I'm good, and that's a very humble set of an introduction. Never had such an introduction before. Thank you for that.
Good. So before we get on to on-purpose branding and before we get on to why did you decide that you want to start, your journey into building brands for someone else, how has your journey been? How has Anant evolved over these years?
Before anything of my core education started, engineering, I never wanted to become one. I wanted to be a musician. I started with my keyboard, then I switched to a guitar, which I learned in 3 days. That was quite an interesting journey for me. 3 दिन में एक बंदा गिटार कैसे सीख सकता है मुझे भी नहीं पता.
Correct.
But then वो dedication रहता तो हो जाता है.
Right.
And during my engineering college, I never studied. मेरा attendance was in single digits. मतलब percentage बोल रहा हूँ. 7%, 3%, 4%. And मेरा record है मैं 4th year एक भी class नहीं गया हूँ. Please don't broadcast this to my college. They'll screw me. But one thing that never happened with me is मैंने कभी cheat नहीं किया एग्ज़ाम में. So notes आते थे, मैं पहला दिन पढ़ता था, मतलब पिछले रात, as usual, every engineer
Everyone
story.
does that.
And अगले दिन बैठता था, and within 20 to 25 minutes मेरा पेपर खत्म हो जाता था. And I used to walk out. And मेरा pointer was around 8.
Nice.
So I was an average student.
Correct.
But I could maintain that. मेरा इंटरेस्ट कुछ और था. स्कूल कॉलेज में भी आई गॉट इनटू अ रॉक बैंड. सो वी टूर्ड द कंट्री. वी वर नोन एज रागा द बैंड एंड वी वर द बेस्ट इन वेस्टर्न इंडिया at par with artists from West Bengal.
Nice.
So we used to win every show in Orissa at least. So I was awarded the best bassist of Orissa.
Amazing.
So ये सब हुआ तो प्लेसमेंट के लिए किसी को टाइम नहीं था पढ़ने के लिए.
Correct.
But then reality hit when day zero में डे जीरो के पहले कुछ कंपनीज आती है प्री कंपनीज एंड आई फेल्ड. मेरा एक भी रिटर्न क्लियर नहीं हुआ. सो दैट वाज अ शॉकर एंड आई जस्ट रियलाइज्ड कि मेरा लाइफ बेकार है. बट देन आई टुक चार्ज ऑफ इट एंड द डेडिकेशन काइंड ऑफ किक्ड इन अगेन. एंड डे जीरो जो कंपनीज आती हैं,
राइट,
we had 4 IT companies: Accenture, Cognizant, Wipro and Infosys. And by God's grace, I got selected in all.
Oh,
so
nice.
now I had 4 offers, and I chose Accenture. So the reason for me coming here is Accenture. They pulled me in. 2015, I get a call saying that आपका joining 3 दिन में है, so prepare yourself and come.
Accenture Pune.
Accenture Pune. So मेरा posting था Accenture हिंजेवाड़ी में. I joined as a delivery analyst, application delivery associate.
Okay.
Level 12 पे. But within 6 months, मेरा manager, my senior manager and my director, the MD, knew that I was not made for delivery. I had multiple bugs in my codes. Because मुझे आता नहीं था. There was something new that I learned. I had logic, but to put that into implementation, I had zero knowledge.
Correct.
They put me into a process called PCS or Project Control Services. It's mostly into management, operations and management. And I flourished. So Accenture deliveries, I moved into Accenture Process Control Services. And from PCS, I moved into Accenture Consulting. Where,
Consulting?
yes. So I was the only non-MBA within the fraternity, handling certain projects. And 40 MBAs used to report to me.
Whoa.
Because of project delivery
course,
schedules.
yeah.
And I used to report to MDs only.
Oh.
So quite a jump that I had, but I had my downfall there as well. मेरा manager से लड़ाई हो गया and I was furious. And my CCR, the review score that we have, appraisal score that we have, he screwed it.
I know.
As usual,
Correct.
the politics, bureaucrats.
Yeah.
And 2019, I quit due to self-respect issues.
Yeah.
And trust me, अभी तक मुझे नहीं पता मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. So 2019 onwards, I knew how to be in a job, and everyone in my family has always been working. So business sense तो zero ही था.
Right.
So I had started a part-time, not a part-time, I was fully dedicated and committed to the photography industry that I had. Started a company called Pick a Shoot, and it was mostly into wedding photo shoots. And we did only 1 year, and we covered 22 weddings.
In a year?
In a year.
That's a great feat, man.
So अपना काम अच्छा होता तो it gets recommended, and तब competition नहीं था.
Right.
Now तो there is a lot of competition.
There is.
And the last wedding that I shot was of a builder, and they never paid me.
Oh.
So we had a huge loss, and I had to pay the team through my salary, and plus the savings that I had. As the project cost was around 3.5 lakhs. So मुझे सब अपने तरफ से भरना पड़ा, and that was the first shocker in terms of revenue loss or revenue leak that I had. This happens in business, and मुझे कोई idea नहीं था. So I used to have an ideal business model, सब सही था, everything was running fine, and suddenly this fell. So I stopped it. So this stopped in 2018. I was kicked out of Accenture in 2019.
Oh.
And then मुझे पता ही नहीं था क्या करूँ.
करना क्या है, right.
So I got depressed. And then I started going to a life coach.
Okay.
Just to understand what to do next. So he said, what can you do? He asked me, what can you do? I said, I don't know. I really have no clue. I just know that I'm an operations guy. Tell me how to operate this well, I'll tell you how to do it. Put a system in place, I can do that. Put a process in place, I'm great at it. But you have to give me a place to do that.
Of course. Yeah.
So he recommended, why don't you start your own field, own setup, and do something about it. So I approached a friend of mine based out of Delhi. He has this edtech startup, and he was doing good. So I asked, can you let me do something for you, trial basis pay, and see if it works? He said, come on board and tell me, how can you increase my revenues? That's the first ask every business has.
Everyone has.
So I sat down with him.
Right.
I understood the course. पूरा समझा मुझे. On the 7th or 8th day, I could sense that there is something missing after understanding the whole business. They had a great marketing team and a great marketing effort, but sales के लिए उन्होंने fresh hires रखे थे, which were not committed. वो दोस्त थे.
Correct.
They were doing good. They were doing 40,000-50,000 of profits a month.
Nice.
Which was okay.
As a startup.
2 years to the startup, they were doing good. I did nothing. I fired the sales team.
The entire team.
I set up only 2 people, and वो दोनों का एक common दोस्त था, उसको भी लेके आया मैं. 3 people. Within 45 days, their profits were at 6.33 lakhs.
Oh, from 50,000.
40,000 to 6.33 lakhs. That's a 1200% jump, or I don't know, I'm bad at maths.
It's pretty good. It's unimaginable.
So that jump gave me confidence कि मैं कुछ तो कर लूँगा.
Right.
So this client sustained with me. Then I got into one more edutech startup based out of Hyderabad. We did the same thing with them. But इनका problem था, they did not have a strong marketing team. So we gave them a marketing team and a sales team. And they are now clocking 1 lakh a day in revenue. That's what I've been doing. Once I understand the business, I know what system and process to put in. So I thought I'm just going in and taking away certain headaches
Correct.
of people,
The
of
business, yeah.
businesses, of owners. So I'm listening their headaches. So that's where this liaison came into the picture. And what do? I liaison the headaches. So for a business, if I have to approach, I say them liaison it to me. So that's where the name came in, liaison it.
Oh, nice.
And तब तक मुझे पता नहीं था हम लोग का कैटेगरी क्या है.
Category क्या? What is it that you are doing? Like
So,
the niche.
The niche. Not even the niche, the general as well. I was just going in, understanding, putting a process. That's what I could do. So we called ourselves management consulting. As we spoke to the management and we consulted them. This is going good. 2019 went really awesome. So we booked up an office. Everything was fine. And then चाइना में वो कोविड आया.
Correct.
दिसंबर में आया था उनका
Right.
चाइना फेस्टिवल जो होता है ईयरली.
Right.
And for some reason I could understand that it's also going to come here because they had declared an epidemic there and took lesser time to become a pandemic. India में first case was recorded in February.
Feb.
But उससे पहले आ चुका था. It had spread. So I shut down my office. I relocated my entire team back to their offices, back to their homes.
Pre-pandemic.
So March 20 में जब लॉकडाउन हुआ, we had zero operational expense except the salaries.
Of course.
एक cost बच गया, so I could really keep my books. And gradually by April and May, we had lost all our clients.
Because their businesses got affected.
Yes, hospitality
Oh, biggest.
and education. दोनों खत्म.
Both of them, biggest hit.
Yes. And we knew that we had to do something. We had to gear up. We can't really sustain with
Correct.
no entry to our books.
Correct.
So that's why we started getting digital. We learned. So March से I had put my team to start learning how to build a website. हमारा ही बना दो आप. मतलब ऐसा हो गया था situation. So we had a team of 21 doing this. By August 2020, the team had shrunk to around about 12. And that 12 is still there. ये जो छोटा टीम हुआ, they delivered their first website, Lizenet का ही, and we liked it, the way we had built it. August से लेके March 2021 तक we started approaching people that this is what we can do for you as well, because everyone was suffering. And ये जो 50 websites हमने बनाए August से लेके March 2021 तक, they're all pro bono.
Oh.
Because we also wanted to get our hands in.
Correct.
Hands-on experience चाहिए टीम को भी. After that, there was no stopping. From March 2021 until today, we're sitting at close to 900 projects.
Amazing.
So that's been my personal side of the journey with Lies in It. When Piyush came in December, we met for the first time.
December 2020. 21. All right. Quite recently.
7 months. He shut down my website. बोला क्या है? I literally put it down after talking to him, understanding that it's not really it does not have a direction.
Correct.
Lizenet ka website was management consulting, and we were delivering websites, so they were not in sync.
Correct.
So we shut it down. Now that's where I understood that this guy has got some sense of letting people know that their DNA is screwed, or what they're projecting is screwed. So if you have to build a brand, it has to come from your course.
Correct.
And that has to be displayed everywhere. I'm a MOS guy, marketing, operations and sales. He's a branding guy. We thought uska experience, expertise and skills with whatever I have built, if we can collaborate, two power horses coming together to create something magnificent and in fact 10 times bigger than what we are actually, it's going to strike something.
Correct.
That's where the collaboration term coined for us, and we did not take time. December में मिले, January में we formed this entity.
OPB.
Yes. For me, it was not a very difficult call initially, but it takes time to adjust.
Correct.
So now lies in it is delivering only a small fragment of what OPB is.
OPB is doing.
So what we decided of late is we will merge them together, and the final brand, on purpose brand, would start existing. So everything is shifting. We are on that process. The previous experiences, expertise, and the skills have come together to form
Right.
something really big.
Right. Right.
And that's been the journey.
Quite some trajectory there, Anant. But before we start talking about the collaboration and the existence of OPB today, at your age, and with due respect to the generation and to that age group, there is a lot of questioning that keeps on happening, right? On primarily two questions that I have observed in my experience, right? Number one is, मुझे क्या करना है? What am I doing? Right? Because there's so much of peer pressure, there's so much of society pressure, and then your generation is right at the center of a previous generation which had broken out of a lot of stereotypes, but some stereotypes still exist on them, and they kind of try to pass it on to the next generation. And but that is where your resilience is, like the millennials are kind of breaking away from that, so there is that pressure from all the sides.
Correct.
Second thing is, why is everybody better than me? So there are these two things always constantly at the center of the mind of people of your generation. And you very aptly mentioned that you did go through that depressed phase where Accenture was out and your business kind of crashed, you lost a lot of money. How did you come out of it? What were those steps that you took which kind of pulled you back from the dungeons, if I may call them, and put you back on the track?
Okay, very interesting question and very aptly put in there as the situation. I needed help, as I stated.
Correct.
That I went and asked for help. हमारा generation या कोई भी generation हो, they hold on to their egos and
They don't
self-respect
ask for help.
so much.
Correct.
पूछते नहीं हैं.
Exactly, I second that.
But
Right.
ज़रूरत है तो मांग लो ना. मेरा एक बहुत weird experience है इसके साथ. I was in a bus,
Okay.
fully packed. There was a wife, there was a couple who walked in. एक मेरे साइड में सीट था और एक पीछे सीट था, एकदम बैक सीट पे. The girl came and sat, and I saw that the husband was standing there for some time, and then he went and sat there. इतना ईगो था कि मुझे नहीं पूछा. ईगो नहीं, I will not call that ego, maybe a self-respect kind of a thing, that I won't ask him to leave so that I can sit with my wife. I told him this. मैं बोला उधर जाके कि आप आगे बैठो and आप खाली पूछ लेते हैं.
Correct.
If you would have asked, I would have left happily. But ये बहुत experience भी है ना कि लोग मानते नहीं है, लोग सुनते नहीं, मैं नहीं हटूंगा, जो करना है करो. That is also
there.
played their share.
Correct.
But then my dad always says 96% of the world is bad. He has a very peculiar figure. But 4% is really good.
Still good.
And that 4% is pulling this world ahead.
Correct. That's
That's
true.
what is not stopping the world. It's not letting things crash.
Correct.
And I believe it.
Of course.
So unka 96 say I've got the tattoo 996, 9064.
Oh, that's the story.
So it's my birthday, my mom's birthday, and my dad's birth year.
9
So 9 is my birthday,
Right.
Birth month,
month
mom's birthday, and dad's birth year.
year 9964.
So 96 तो उधर से आया है, and 4% is still there.
Correct. Very thoughtful. So while you were on that journey, right, of say you had already lost in a business in 2018.
Correct.
You were out of your job in 2019, and in 2019 you started something which eventually also kind of unfortunately took a downward trajectory because of the pandemic.
Correct.
That is a moment when especially the parents, right, because it happens with us also, parents and the families and friends will come and haunt you. ये क्या कर रहा है? You're not meant for this. Get into a job. Where's your income? You don't listen. बर्बाद हो जाओगे. Settle कब होना? And all of these things, right? वो हम सबकी middle class lives में होता ही है. How did you handle that pressure?
I still have that. कल ही पूछा डैड ने, अरे तू कमा ठीक रहा है ना, That happens, that as a parent you'll have this neural feeling.
Of course.
Is your kid settled? Because my father stays in Orissa. He is not here. He does not see the lifestyle that I live or the life that I live. Had he been here, he would have been a little comfortable.
Of course.
That I'm doing okay. मैं उसको रोज reassurance देता हूँ कि Dad, I'm fine. If I need anything, I'll call you.
I'll call you.
And I'll tell you something very honestly. I take money from him every month, 5,000 rupees. मैं बोला कुछ भी हो जाए ये बंद नहीं होना चाहिए. Because college से he has been footing my bills. And जब मैं यहाँ पुणे में आया, he gave me money. So when everything boiled down during the pandemic, he literally gave me a lifeline. He paid some amount.
Right.
And I have this feeling the minute he stops paying that amount, मेरा business और मेरा life will go for a toss.
Go for a toss.
And that has happened. मैं बोलता हूँ अभी मत दो. And अगले दिन एक client चला जाता है.
ओहो.
So I'm very superstitious that way. मैं बोला जो भी करो ये पैसा आना चाहिए.
Correct. And then with that also what is also happening is your dad also feels good कि हाँ ठीक है ना, I'm able to support my child and my child, and so there is these parents think, right, कि मेरे बच्चे के बीच का दरवाज़ा अभी खुला हुआ है. I'm sure they're staying alone, you are here. बहुत सारी चीज़ें उनके माइंड में भी आती हैं, especially from the internet, the news and all the nonsense that's going around. So very, very thoughtful there. What's the reaction of your team? Like, so by team, the 12 people who are still with you out of the 21, how do they look upon you in terms of leadership? So see, you've sailed with them, to a pinnacle, to a certain point, a trajectory which was going up. Then you sustained and kind of went down, and then you stabilized it and you brought them back at a certain level again. So by this time up till now, right, you would have the employees, so I am talking purely from an employee perspective, they would have built up a relationship with you in, and an example of a certain kind of a leadership. What is that feedback that comes back to you?
I never had this question surveyed around. I mean, I never asked my people what do they feel about me. Just that when it comes to deliveries, I just have one expectation. Don't screw up deliveries. Everything else is perfectly fine.
Right.
आपका टास्क टाइम पे कंप्लीट हो रहा है ना, टाइम पे कंप्लीट भी नहीं हो रहा है, टास्क कंप्लीट हो रहा है ना, आई एम गुड. बिकॉज एट द एंड ऑफ द डे आई एम रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू फेस द क्लाइंट.
Exactly.
सो वहाँ डोंट मेक मी फॉल फ्लैट ऑन माई फेस. दैट्स द ओनली एक्सपेक्टेशन. एंड दे नो इट. बिकॉज वेन वी हैड नथिंग टू डू, दे वर स्टिल टेकन केयर ऑफ. आई नेवर डिलेड सैलरीज. नेवर. अभी तक कभी नहीं हुआ है. आई हैव अ पेरोल सिस्टम इन प्लेस. बाकी कोई सिस्टम प्रोसेस नहीं चाहिए मुझे. पेरोल सिस्टम हैज़ टू बी देयर.
And I think that's the biggest motivator, especially for employees, when they know there's someone who's taking care of us.
Right.
They would put in their heart and soul into what they do.
True.
Right. How do you assess yourself as a leader, if I may ask that question?
I'm not a leader. Trust me, I'm
Why
not.
would you say that?
I'm a follower. I have never thought myself as a leader. I've never pulled the team. They have pulled me to where I am. And we go together.
That's a sign of. So, so I've been in corporates, I've been in jobs, you've been in corporate jobs. And this is something which is missing from the corporate world, right? People want to pacify their ego, they want to label themselves as somebody. And, I was talking to Manoj Lekhi ji a couple of weeks back, and in the conversation he said, till the time you keep thinking that you are somebody, you will always have problems in your life. The moment you think that you are a nobody, you start enjoying the journey, you'll start enjoying life. And this, Anant, honestly, right, on record, off record, this is something that I have been looking forward to. So I've been in jobs for these past 17 years. There are certain people who are still very close to my heart and still very close to me professionally. I still go to them for guidance, my mentors. They had this quality, but they don't emphasize, right, they don't impose कि मैंने जो बोल दिया वो परम सत्य, यहाँ पे आके दुनिया ख़त्म. But so how do you keep yourself so grounded, man? What is this medicine for humility, for being so humble? So let me rephrase what I was asking is, how did you come up to this thought process stating that I'm a follower and not a leader? Because that itself is a sign of someone keeping himself humble.
I really don't know the answer to this, but I've always thought about people and processes. Always.
Correct.
मेरे लिए the team or people in the team or outside as well will always be on the top. I never thought that I could invite this thought that I have to pull them on, or just put strings on them. You have to play or dance according to what I tune in. They've ensured that they do things and they do things the right way. And I learn a lot from these guys. एक तो लड़ाई होता रहता है टीम में.
That's but obvious. And if you enjoy those ladais, it just makes the relationship a little stronger.
कभी कभी it becomes very bad.
Is it?
But someday they will also learn that one of them is right.
Of course.
We can't have two right points. I don't want to get there. I just want to have 2 points, 2 perspectives. And I don't take calls. मैं किसी का साइड नहीं लेता. लड़ाई हुआ ना, solve it.
Sort it out.
अपने बीच में. So as a leader, I have never seen myself कि मैं कुछ कहीं जाके I am solving a problem alone, or I am doing something alone. It's a team that does things, and I'm a part of it. So ये thought कहाँ से आया I don't know. I mean, I will never be able to say that ये मेरा turning point था जो ये thought आ गया. But I have never believed that I'm a leader.
Who do you follow?
In terms of?
In terms of, so there are always people who you look up to. Who are those people or personalities that you look up to? Personally, professionally, financially, psychologically, anyways. Who do you follow?
Sum it all up, I have only one person that I look up to, my dad. That's it. I don't have role models except him. If ever I have to become a person, I always would want to be him. I want to be known as हाँ ये अमर का बेटा जा रहा है. Dad says कि मेरे को उल्टा जानना है, but I want to feel that. When someone asks ना कोई dad का दोस्त है or any of his relatives, are you Amar's son? Yes, I am his son. I have this pride when I say this. Yes, I am his son. Because he's built himself so well. The perfect man.
Right.
For me, it will always be him. I've got a lot of friends who are doing really well.
Right.
But if you ask me, role model कौन है? That's him.
Your dad.
Yes.
What are those qualities that you wish you had, which your father has?
Humility. मेरे में नहीं है.
I see a lot of it already.
Trust me, I don't know why you see it, but it's not there. I'm a show off. A blatant show off.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why would you say that? So see, there are two things, right, Anant, here. One is, like, for the purpose of this, journey that I'm taking, the content creation journey, I have my whole lot of setup and stuff. It's all material, right? Some people do call me that I'm a show off. I want to burn out money, right?
This is not show off.
It's not show off. For you, for me, we understand. But for some people, this is, right? So, materialistically, if someone has ever mentioned that, okay, you are kind of going on to the showing off wala aspect, let's not talk about it. Why do you feel
That's what I feel. Materialistically, material wise, I'm a show off. I can't settle down for less.
That's a personality. Everyone has different personalities.
But then if you put a stamp to it, it's called a show off. Blatant show off. I could have, you've seen what I ride.
Right.
I could have managed for something less, but I didn't. वो गाड़ी 10th hand क्यों ना हो, गाड़ी चाहिए.
Correct. And again, it's very, very individualistic, Anant, right? But on record, off record, you can't call that show off. Eventually, banda paise kyun kamata hai? Why are we earning in the first place? That's the whole thing, right? I may not want to have a fancy ride or a fancy car or fancy gadgets or watches, whatever. But I would want my child to have it. If I could support it, nothing like it. If she earns it for herself, nothing like it. If I call her a show off because she has those ambitions, it's just my perception. But again, right, sign of humility that you say that I'm a real show off. Now let's One last question before I thank you for sparing your time here. What is it that you've thought about that? So there has to be an end goal, right? There's a vision. So there is a professional vision that a company has. Then there's a personal vision that all of us have. क्योंकि जिंदगी में ये करना है. Right? Like I want to do certain things for my child, for myself, for the society, and all of it. What are those some things, those some goals that you're heading towards? The bigger picture.
By a certain time period, maybe by 2030, I have to have 50,000 people working with me. I want to solve the problem of employability.
It's a very humble thought.
People say that there are no jobs. I have floated 4 resumes, 4 JDs. I have not found the right people. Kids nowadays, the Gen Z or the younger millennials, they don't want to take life seriously. They don't want to skill themselves.
Correct.
A quick message to them would be, if you want to end up with nothing, continue the way you are.
You are doing.
Have that bloated ego कि मैं तो कुछ कर लूँगा, कबाड़ लूँगा लाइफ में. It's not that easy.
Of course.
The world is full of shit people, that 96% that I'm talking about.
It's a huge number.
And you will end up nowhere. So it's very important to have the right skills, the right talent. And I want to solve that. But I don't want to hire the wrong talent. Because one rotten apple will
spoil the entire. So, adding on to this, so this is something that I also analyzed. So I have been in the hospitality industry, and this industry has always been, like, the past 17 years, I've never seen any hotel which says ke we are full. There's always a shortage of manpower.
Correct.
So from the hospitality and travel domain, I did an analysis way back in 2018. For every position that's vacant, there are 7 people who could be employed. But those 7 people are not ready to be employed.
Correct.
They don't want. They just want this. By this, I mean, as you very aptly mentioned, right? False ego. That number 1. Number 2, 9 से 5 की पक्की सरकारी नौकरी और पैसा चाहिए in triple digits. Yeah, in 5 digits, 6 digits annual packages. I still see a lot of people comparing, different countries, different economies. So people keep on telling me, sir, यहाँ पे तो, I work for a college, right? So the students come to me and tell me, sir, यहाँ तो पैसे ही नहीं है, दुबई में देखो, वहाँ देखो. Sir, you comparing different economies. The dynamics are different. वहाँ पे if someone tells me कि okay, हाँ, US, Canada में पैसे ज़्यादा मिलते हैं, वहाँ पे काम भी तो वैसा होता है. यहाँ पे अब 9 घंटे में 4 घंटे तो सुट्टे के काउंटर पे चाय के गल्ले पे निकाल देते हो. You can't do it there. You have to work for those 8-9 hours. So solving the employability problem, right? That's something that I think our country needs it, and for that purpose, I also have given myself a vision that this country needs a lot of content creators. Because when you start having these conversations, right, it'll spread. Someone will have that connect. Scalability comes in, the upskilling comes in, and then let's look forward to the country getting out of this unemployment problems, if I may call them, right? So thank you so much, Anant. This conversation was long pending, but really enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thanks a lot.
I wish we could go on, but paucity of time, I think we'll have to put a stop here, but look forward to host you once again.
Absolutely. I'm always in.
Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for being on the show.
Yes. Bye-bye.